everybody. Another week on Laced Up with my co-host LJ LaFavor, and then we got a special guest, the voice of the Tocowampus Cats, Michael Gabbard.
What's going on, guys?
So to get us started, senior night this week, last home game at Atoka for us two. Last time we'll step foot on that field together. So, what's your opinions going into it, LJ?
I mean, Antlers is a good coach team. You know, they do what they do well. The wishbone, they love to run the clock out. That's their thing. You know, they don't want to score a lot. They just want to take the time off of the clock. So we're just gonna have to play good defense and stop them. You know, in their first couple drives, we don't want to let them have multiple first downs so they can continuously run the clock out. Because if you do that, it may be the earliest football game you've ever been to.
Yeah, we might be done by 9 o'clock.
It sounds familiar, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you sit there and you look at the offense that you guys have ran for, God, Coach Cup's entire tenure, it seems like, and this year you're throwing the football around a little bit, you know. Yeah, Antlers is an extremely well-coached team. They do a lot of things well. To me, honestly, I think they've got great size up front, especially on they run their stunts very well. They do a lot of great things offensively, and again, it's going to come down to who can make the bigger push to me in the fourth quarter in regards to running the football. If you can get an early lead on a team like Antlers, I think that you will have a tremendous amount of success in the second half of the game if you can do it early, and it kind of gives you a little bit of cushion to really open up your play calling in the early portions or the later portions in the game. So to me, Antlers is that one that you kind of marked on your schedule at the beginning of the year and said, they might not be as good as you think they are, or they might not be as bad as you think they are. They're a team that can do a lot of things that really disrupt what you want to do offensively.
I agree.
I agree with you a lot with that. Another thing about Antlers is I've noticed in my career here, they're more of a rivalry than Colgate because we played them a lot of times, and it's meant a lot for districts, you know. Going to the playoffs, it's meant a lot for seeding, so I think going into that, it'll be played like a rivalry game for sure.
I mean, on top of that, they came here last year and beat us on our homecoming night by, like 2 points?
Yeah.
Not very many. You know, it wasn't a high-scoring game. Like I said, they just like to run the clock out. They don't want to score points. They want to get one touchdown on that board and then try to run the clock out on you. You know, they're not looking to go drop 40 on your head. That's just not what they do over there. You know, that Bone's a tough offense to guard, especially having, like, the triple option and everything out. You just got to be ready for absolutely anything, like anything out of that offense. So I guess we'll just have to see how we play defense this week, and hopefully we can make the right moves and stop it.
I think another key factor will be definitely the turnovers. We cannot turn the ball over versus this team.
Penalties, too.
Yeah.
Penalties for sure. Just a lot of the little things that can hurt you versus a team like this.
You know, we talked about on the broadcast at the beginning of last week, you know, about penalties. You know, penalties there in that, you know, first and second quarter, they were just devastating.
Yeah.
You know, the last couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
And you know, those are little mistakes that can be fixed. You know, you can fix those things. But I think you have to go into a game like this, especially senior night. Emotions are always high.
Amen.
You know, the emotions are so high because you got to think, and I've been there. You know, it's your last game that you're ever going to play on this beautiful field. You know, and so you've got a lot of different things going through your head, but the thing that you really have to stay focused on, especially you seniors, is making sure that you go into that with the right expectations. You know, you don't let those emotions get a hold of you because they can tend to disrupt you early on in football games.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree. Emotions have like a big factor in how you play, and I solely believe that. You know, you go into a game thinking you can't go into any game thinking you're just going to absolutely demolish a team. You know, because coming in with that high horse mindset can get you beat. And honestly, we've had that high horse mindset a few times this season, and it's got us beat multiple times this season.
Yeah, not just get us beat. We've started out slow, off flat, on our feet, had slow first quarters. But going along with what you said about penalties, we got to eliminate them early on. We're so much better in the second half about the little mistakes, for sure, and it shows up.
Yeah, I believe. Listen, I've been calling Atoka football, and I've had the pleasure through my company to call more than just Atoka games. I've done everything from Kingston, Pottsboro, Colgate, Durant, and many other Southeastern Oklahoma State University, which is always really cool because you get a broad aspect of what other teams look like and what they do well. Mm-hmm. And, talent wise, I have to tell you, this year is probably one of the more talented teams that I've seen come out of Atoka in regards to what you do what you're capable of doing on all three phases of the game. Again, one of the better talented teams. It's putting it all together, in a game obviously is, and we didn't come into this season thinking it was going to be an easy district.
Yeah.
You got teams like Fian, that is the number one team in the state in 2A2. You've got Henrietta, which is not going to be a scrub whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I think, what are they sitting, number 2 right now in districts? Mm-hmm. We kind of knew that going in. We had a shot at that, but and Valiant was a team that
turned it around.
Dude, let me tell you, man, they're that Valiant team, and especially their running back, one of the best, if not the best, running back in the entire state. So, it's a tough district.
It is, yeah, I agree. But what do you got to say about that, Peyton?
I think a lot of our issues is worrying about us. We got to take care of our business in practice, especially. It's weird how it works because, we had that big senior class a couple years ago. So we got guys that are older, say seniors, but they have not seen the field. And this is truly their first year seeing the field because they had been behind them guys. And, I think we can all agree game experience is a lot different than lining up in practice and getting after it. So I think we got guys still growing and trying to fix mistakes and figure things out. And I think that's a thing that's going on with us right now.
Let me ask you guys this. It being senior night, what are y'all's thoughts on senior night? Like, what is going through the mind of you guys right now just leading up to Friday night's game?
Well, first off, so my mom, she works at a home health agency in Antlers. She so happens to work with Coach Beasley, who's the head coach of Antlers, his wife. And so we've been family friends for a few years now.
That's good.
So this has always been our, rivalry game. And with it being my senior year, this could be my last shot it is my last shot to get that final trash talk in on him. So I think it'll be very fun. And, senior night, it's going to be emotional because I've played football since I was 4. And I remember playing my first Little League game on the new stadium. Mm-hmm. I'd played at the old stadium for a couple years prior, and then I was one of the first teams to play on that new stadium. And just letting that sink in, it seems like just yesterday, and then realizing, 2 days from now, I'll play my last game ever on that field. And I think, it's been a blessing, to be able to play on such nice facilities and with some of the best people you could ever ask for. Yeah. So it's going to be very emotional.
What about you?
Right now for me, it's just another game. Like, I don't mean that. Like, I'm sure emotions will be flowing come senior night, but I've been playing football for 2 years. It's not as deep to me as it is to Peyton. I do love the game, but this man is tied to it. This man has based his whole life around the sport, where I haven't. I go up in that gym. That's where I belong. That's my thing. But I'm sure emotions will be flowing, by the time it gets here and I actually realization. But as of right now, it's just another game. You got to go take care of business.
He's lucky I'm not up in that gym. He'd be in big trouble.
I've seen you hoop, Peyton. All right.
Hey, I'll get in there. I'll hit some threes every now and then.
No, he won't.
Every once in a while,
Every once in a while.
I'm 3 for 20, but
keep shooting.
3 for 20, but I hit a couple.
That's all that matters, Don't matter if you're a negative 32 as long as you got them couple points on the board.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, they'll only remember the ones you make. They don't care about
That's
the
right. They don't care about the misses. All right, Kobe. Hey, listen, Kobe scored what 62 points in his final game.
Yeah.
You know, as a
22 for
Laker.
61.
Yeah.
We don't remember the thousands of misses that he had prior to it.
Hey, don't be surprised if I do that versus Kingston.
Oh,
Go
get outta here,
22 for
Peyton.
61.
Come on.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he ain't getting a suit now.
Are they even getting 60 shots up in a high school game? That's my question.
I don't even know.
man.
Oh man.
That's outrageous. But, looking past this week, we got a tough Henrietta team. We got to go to their house and play. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. I'm hoping that my plan is, we go in wanting it more than them, and they come in on a high horse expecting to just absolutely tear us up, and then they're surprised. I think they did the same. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I haven't watched the film on it, but watching or seeing the score of the Wilburton Henrietta game, 18-25, I kind of assume that Henrietta went in with that mindset that they could just absolutely go in there and whoop Wilburton, and it didn't happen. So I'm hoping that they have the same mindset with us, and then we go in ready to play and we hit them, and then they're absolutely just baffled.
Well, I've been all around the world playing football pretty much my whole life, and I'm very good friends with Brady, who is Henrietta's quarterback. So that'll be another fun one for me, getting to play against him. And I think a lot about the Wilburton game too is we've seen it here. Wilburton, they may have not won a game in a long time.
They're big up front.
They're big up front. They're fast, and they play hard. They truly do. Like, they want to win, and I can't help but say I'm cheering for them on Fridays. I want to see them win because they play so hard.
Yeah.
They play so stinking hard.
Who do they got this week?
I have no clue. I have not checked the schedules, but they play really hard, and I think years coming with that coach, I think they'll be in good shape.
Yeah, I agree too. And Henrietta, I haven't really seen what Henrietta is like up front. I haven't seen any game film or anything on Henrietta, and I probably won't until the week of that game. But you sit here and you look at Atoka's record right now. Yes, it's not where you want it to be. You've had some tough games, and penalties, have been a factor in a few of those games. Slow starts, things of that nature. But it reminds me a little bit of my senior year, in high school. And fortunate enough for me, I was lucky enough to play college at the next, play sports at the next level, and enjoyed some success. Not a tremendous amount, but some.
But enough, yeah.
But I remember my senior year. Coach Dale was our baseball coach, and we had tons of success. We were going to the state tournament, left and right. We had some of the top teams in our class, through my career, and junior year didn't end the way that we wanted to. We were beat in regional play as I believe at the time we were the number 3 ranked team in the state, and then senior year you've got one senior, you've got me, and that's it, and the rest of your starting lineup is freshmen and sophomores, and a lot of them had great careers, but Coach Dale was gone at that time. But I just remember the struggle from that year. You went from a level of success that was up here to being a 500 team, and it wears on you through the course of the season. But as a senior, and I tell you what, Ryan Laddermilk, you may or may not know him. Kevin also was a big dude in regards to just the mentality of the team, alongside with myself, and making sure that those guys in those lower grades, freshman, sophomore, junior classes, knew that, listen, we're win or lose, we're in this together. I got your back. You've got my back, and you trust that, and then you go out there and we call it constructive criticism. You tell them what the flaw is, where things are going wrong, but you do it in a positive manner. And I think when you get into a situation like this where, your playoff chances are at will, it's an at will at this point. You got to win out, and it's still up to somebody else. It's not up to you now. you have to have that kind of mentality, and I think that's important moving forward. As you don't get down on yourself, that especially the fan base.
Yes, sir.
The fan base, you need to be behind these guys. We don't need that Vian game where it was an important game. You had a lot of momentum going on, and then there was nobody in the stands. And I say that with the utmost respect to the community, but it's one of those things. You gotta have each other's backs. The community's got to have yours.
Yeah, I agree a lot about that. I've spoken out a lot about community and how not showing up and supporting your team actually affects the players. Nobody wants that. I don't think people actually understand like how difficult it is on athletes' mental health when they see that their community isn't supporting
Just
them.
think about this too. I mean, have you ever been to? You're an LSU, or you've been to LSU, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been down there.
Okay, so why is Death Valley the toughest place to play in college football? I mean, this is high school ball, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but have you ever gone down to a Texas game?
Fan base.
Bro, they filled the stands.
Like,
Absolutely.
Oh
It's
my
crazy.
goodness. You go down to a Texas high school game, and it is like walking into Division II football. I mean, it is insane with the amount of fans that show up at games. You don't get that in the Oklahoma area. It's just not as important, I guess you could say, in the state, as a whole. But, LSU's tough because, hey, they fill their stands, win or lose.
They do, yeah. It's, like I said, stuff like that's always going to have fan support. Like, right now, OU's having a down year. I'm a fan. I'm going to support. I'm going to the OU game
and they're
this
still
weekend.
selling out.
Nice.
Exactly,
Nice.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Still selling out.
But, like, fan support is so big, and I just feel like people underestimate how big fan support is, you know what I mean? Like I said, I've spoken on the last podcast about the Vian game and how the stands weren't filled and how it affected me, looking up and just seeing, I was like, dang, you know what I mean? Like, that was embarrassing for me. Like, I felt embarrassed. I felt like I wasn't performing good enough for anybody to come watch us. I feel like people don't really understand how deep it is until somebody actually speaks up about it.
I think they do. I think they just forget.
I think so.
Yeah, again, we've all been in your seats, but the older we get, we tend to forget sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. People got lives and stuff, but if you get a chance, opportunity, if you're sitting at home not doing anything, it don't hurt nothing to come out to a football game. I mean, what else you got going on?
Especially this Friday.
This one's big.
This one is big.
This one's big.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, too, I feel like we're very similar to Antlers, you know what I mean? So, it could be like last year, really close game.
Really
and
good
we lost
game.
by a couple points, So, it could be the same thing. One thing this is off topic a little bit, but the offense that Antlers runs, the Wishbone, the Colgate Middle School ran that on our middle school last week and beat our middle school 6-0.
Our middle,
Wow.
our middle school did not touch the ball the whole first half.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow,
They were just
that's crazy.
Hit them with the Wishbone. It was like such a fast game just because
Yeah.
they kept doing that Wishbone. And like I said, you got to expect that from Antlers. That's how they try to play their offense. So,
Nuts.
Started at 6:30 and they were back at Atoka at 7:45.
Wow,
it's impressive.
that is crazy, man.
I think going back to what you said about leadership, it's been sticking with me. We've had a lot of ups and downs this year dealing with. I was telling the coaches about it actually a few weeks ago. I said, man, it just feels like we're cursed around here because we're dealing with so many injuries. People were sick for months. We had some virus go around in our locker room, and it hit a lot of us, and it targets your lungs. And so we had guys out there who couldn't breathe. And I think going back to what you said, it's important that I told myself freshman year that I was going to play the game with love, like I always have, and that I would be a leader. I don't want wins and losses to define who I am as a player, as a person. And I was actually talking to Ezekiel Brooks about it Monday because he's like, it's your last go around on this field. I'm like, yeah, I said, my goal was to have a positive impact on each and one of y'all and try to set the standards for y'all of how it's supposed to be done around here. And I think it's about being a good person within your community too, being involved. And so I think there's a lot that goes with that.
I don't remember all the wins and losses. I mean, I remember my last loss,
Yeah.
loss. It was against Colgate, in districts. But I remember the people who led me. I remember the people who had positive influence on me. And one of them, Sean Hall, he's got his number hung up, over at the baseball field. He was, one of my best friends, and just an overall, just amazing leader, always positive. And even through our darkest times as a program, positivity. And it was still fun to go down to the weight room and lift weights. It was fun to go out there and run diamonds around the baseball field, even though we didn't want to.
Yeah.
It was still we made it fun. And I think when you have guys like that in the locker room, it makes a big difference for the younger guys that we're still trying to figure things out.
It's hard being a young guy. It truly is.
Yeah, it is.
Freshman year is probably one of the hardest years because, you go from being like in middle school, you go from being that guy, like you're that guy for your team, and then high school, you're not. You're
It all changes.
Why am I not
All
out
changes.
here? And then that leads a lot of people to wonder, am I good enough? And the truth is you are good enough. You're
Just a learning curve.
Just behind a senior, and you got to learn and get used to the game at the next level.
Everyone has to adapt,
It's the same thing with college, going to play college ball. It takes time to get used to the speed of that game.
I mean, even professional ball, like you seen Marvin Harrison Jr. struggle at the beginning of the
Yes.
year, and he finally got his curve in, and now he's one of the better receivers on the Cardinals. Everyone has that learning curve.
Yeah, well, I had to trade him for my fantasy team at the beginning of the year, so there's that.
Man, should have held on. He had a pretty good game last week, I'm pretty sure.
I had to get rid of him and Cup because Cup was injured.
And now he's out there balling too.
I know. I'm so mad that I traded him off.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like a lot of people, don't appreciate their moment until it's past. So my biggest message to all you young guys is appreciate it while you got it. You know what I mean? Like I am physically appreciating it right now because 4 weeks from now I might not have it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to sit there and be like, dang, I wish I could have done this. I'm going to do everything in my power to do everything I can, just because I don't want to look back and be like, I should have done this way. I should have done that way. I want to be able to say, I did everything I could, and I'm proud of it. You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree with you. I mean, leaving it, that's what I try to tell the guys before each game is, even that week, Valiant week, I almost said Vian. I don't know if y'all knew about it, how sick and banged up we were. I'm talking we're down 6-7 starters, and we're going into a big time district game, and I was pretty bad sick. I actually went to the hospital after the game that night when I got back to Atoka. Had to get some IVs, get fixed up, and I think that's always the message I try to get off in warm-ups is, you got to do whatever it takes, leave everything out here because, at some point in your life, whether you believe it or not, it will come back and you will think about it and you'll regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially, I'm just, I'm glad. I hope these kids that are coming up, like these sophomores and juniors that are about to be, and then even this 8th grade class coming into high school, they're going to be a good group. Give them a couple years together. Like I say, by the sophomore senior year and the 8th grade sophomore year, the Toka group's going to be a good group. They're a team to watch out for. They got plenty of athletes and plenty of key parts to do whatever they want to do. It's all about willpower at the end of the day. So as long as those guys got it, I think they can solely, do almost anything, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm excited to see it, and I will say I'll be here to watch them too. I don't mind coming out and supporting.
Actually, how much time do we have, by the way?
I'm good.
We can go all day.
Yeah.
We could go all day. Okay, then I got a question. I wanted to ask this. I want to switch gears for just a
let's
minute
switch
because I want to know what y'all's thought process on Oklahoma is right now. The University of Oklahoma. So obviously we had the firing of Seth Luttrell, which I don't know if y'all follow me on social media at all. I was like you.
I was happy.
I was like, I don't care who's in there. Like, give me the water boy. Put the water boy in there and let him call plays
Let
because
anybody
somebody will
call.
have more common sense than that. And JJ comes out in his first game. To me, boy, you're going against the best defensive line maybe in all of the entire country. You know, in Ole Miss, one of the better pass rushing defense in the entire country, and you're having to call plays for the very first time against that. You know, he didn't get the warm up like Seth Luttrell did with Houston and Temple. You know what I mean? He didn't get that. Yeah. And so, to me, I thought they had a really good game plan, coming out. Obviously, it kind of dipped down. Ole Miss started figuring stuff out. Yeah. But I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on that before I go into it anymore?
First off, I was talking to my college advisor about it. He's a diehard OU fan, been a season ticket holder since '92, I believe. And I told him, I said, you know what? I'm going to be excited if we put up 40 points this Saturday versus Ole Miss. But I'm going to be one mad sucker knowing that we could have done this all year long. So they're lucky at the same time they didn't put up 40 because I would have been livid. Mm-hmm. But, Jackson Arnold looked a lot better on Saturday. Looked much more comfortable. And I think injuries with them is a big thing, but it's the University of Oklahoma. They have guys that can go. I promise you that. They have guys that can play.
It was finally good seeing our offense get rolling. All season, offense has been struggling.
Even if it was just for a half.
Exactly. Whenever I looked at the score at halftime, because I was at work and I was keeping up with it on the ESPN app, but whenever I looked at the score on halftime and I seen that Jackson Arnold had 2 passing touchdowns, I was like, whoa. I've never been an Arnold fan. Never have. But he's growing on me. If he can continue to keep up his offensive rhythm, he looked, like Peyton said, he looked really good and comfortable in the pocket. If he can keep that up, I think Oklahoma has a chance to win a few more of these SEC games.
My best friend, Dusty Newberry, all right, he was one of the coaches for McAllister for a lot of years. No longer a coach. He took an administrative job. Good for him. But he gave me a lot of heat on my posts that I had on social media because I had called out like, you guys said this and this and that, in regards to the Seth Luttrell firing. But to me, even though Oklahoma wasn't able to score in the second half, you moved the ball better on first downs. It opened up your second downs, your play calling on second downs. Third downs were way better than we had seen all year long. We even had an opportunity at a couple of fourth downs, and we were moving the ball. Heck, Oklahoma had 2 more trips to the red zone in the second half, and unfortunately, it didn't end up with points. But we didn't have those opportunities. We weren't even getting past third down, under Seth Luttrell. So, and I didn't really like the hire to begin with. I felt like you could have gone maybe another direction. I mean, heck, you think about all the different play callers that are out in college football. For me, like Warren, Guerrero from Wake Forest. Wake Forest isn't a world beater. They put up some massive offensive numbers.
They do
for a a team like Wake Forest who are going up against some of the top dogs, but they're not one of those schools that you think of as a college football program.
Yeah,
you think more of Wake Forest as a basketball school, and so. He's a guy that's, broke tons of records at Oklahoma. And so for me, JJ is not the guy. We saw that this week. Now, maybe he'll get a couple of games in him and maybe we'll see something different.
Yeah.
But this offseason, man, I honestly, I was big on the Lincoln Riley train before he got hired from Oklahoma. He tried to take the Florida job, and Florida just ultimately said he didn't interview well. And Oklahoma snagged him as the offensive play caller, and I kind of saw that coming, and I really just wish Oklahoma would go after a big name, as an offensive coordinator like Warren Guerrero from Wake Forest.
Like what I said earlier, it's the University of Oklahoma. They're one of the best programs in football. You got to bring somebody in, and
you'll find a way.
Yeah, find a way, and man, I'm just gonna say this, like I was gonna say it earlier, but. That shows how sad we are as OU fans right now. When we're celebrating because we got a field goal. We got a field goal.
We're happy about 147 yards rushing on the ground.
Yes. We can go to bed at night tonight.
That'll be all right.
We got over 100 yards today.
Uh-huh.
Put the burgers on the grill.
Oh, come on.
we're happy about 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Our quarterback throwing 2 touchdowns. I mean, because it's sad. When was the last time we
suffered.
actually threw one?
Exactly, you know?
It's
suffered.
just
You know,
I think also, man, we got the best offense line coach in football, Bill Beatenbaugh.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
the best.
Absolutely.
He might be one of the best ever, and he might be the best ever. But he's going to figure things out. They're dinged up front, but my goodness, 18 sacks in 2 games. Mm-hmm. That is a lot of sacks. That is a lot of
and
sacks.
they've got a lot of injuries there on the, you lost another guy this week, one of the top guys they were excited about getting back. And, but I mean, you got to put a little bit of blame on him, but at the same token, I'm not on the fire Brent Venables train.
no, I ain't either.
I mean, for what happened when Lincoln left,
Nothing. He
the
left us-
year after, and then the success that they had last year. And, offensively, too, you got to think about it. They recruited guys for a particular offense that's no longer there anymore.
Yeah.
They resorted to this veer, which I don't like. I'm not a big veer fan, this RPO, throw the ball to the sidelines, and 5 and outs. It to me, I'm for college football, it's just not my thing. So it was good to see JJ open things up and really let Jackson Arnold do his thing.
Well, it'd be a dream come true, and I've disliked Lincoln Riley for what he's done for years, but it'd be a dream come true if Southern California just hate. I mean, they don't like him up there right now. They hate his guts right now.
Let me ask you this:
Bring him back.
if he got fired and he came back to the University of Oklahoma and said, "I want to be the OC," would you take him?
Yes,
I would take him.
Heck yeah.
But there would be some bad blood for a little bit.
I think it'd be like a lot like.
Are you gonna spit in his Cheerios like walking down?
I think it'd be a lot like LeBron going back to the Cavs after he left from Miami.
I would say for Oklahomans, more relative, I'd say Kevin Durant leaving for Golden State, and
But he never came back.
he never came back. But if he was to come back,
He shut his restaurant down too.
yeah, if he was to come back, I'm pretty sure we'd accept him with open arms.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure we'd accept him.
Not a big KD fan.
All right.
If Russ came back,
I don't. Maybe has Russ ever won anything though? I mean, besides personal awards.
no.
Yeah, I mean, KD. I mean,
Oh yeah, he got his chips and stuff. you
I
know.
don't think the Thunder need anybody right now.
They don't. No,
They're
they're
good.
stacked.
No, they're good.
absolutely.
I
loaded.
mean, they're not as good as my Mavericks, but I mean,
The
Luka.
West is so.
They're gonna be changing. They're gonna be changing the. You fade back and yell Kobe. They're gonna be changing that to Luka here before too long.
Okay.
That dude balls.
he does ball.
When I fade away, I yell LJ. So.
Okay.
As you're breaking.
I'm not even a Thunder fan. I'm a Miami Heat fan.
A Heat fan.
Yeah, I love the Heat. Jimmy buckets, Tyler Hero, Jokic.
Why are you a Heat fan?
I don't know. I struggle. I used to be a
Jerseys.
Russell Westbrook fan when I was younger. I didn't really like a team particularly. And then, when Jimmy got traded over to Miami, I started watching a lot more Miami Heat basketball, and I kind of just fell in love with the culture over there. And so now I'm a Miami Heat fan, and I'll claim him till I die.
I can take that.
This story seems pretty false to me. It sounds like he was on the video game one night on 2K, and he was scrolling through jerseys.
Put up
and
80
he's like,
points in the first half and
He's
said,
like-
"All right, this is who I'm rolling
this
with."
is
This is my team now. Yeah, that's how it goes. And then I think Jimmy got over there in 2018, 2019, and then 2 seasons later, he's taking them to the, NBA Finals with, a rookie Tyler Hero and a really freaking young team.
Really, when he hopped
and they've made it. They made it back
No.
2 years ago as an 8 seed. So they're just an absolutely fun team to watch. The only thing I don't like about them is how they are. Sometimes they're losing to really bad teams. The first game of the season, Jimmy Butler had 3 points, and I was like, oh man, it's gonna be rough. Then second game, I think he had 24, and last game he had 26, and they play again tonight. So
Well, to show my age a little bit, I've always been a Mavericks fan. Dirk was in his first few years in Dallas. And so I've always been a Cowboys fan, grew up a Cowboys fan.
That's
Grew up being, I know, it's, if you're a Cowboys fan, you don't really watch football.
yeah,
you know
I'm
what
a
I mean?
Cowboys fan,
And, I'm a Sooners fan. And believe it or not, I'm a Yankees fan. But now, hear me out. The reason I'm a Yankees fan is I was 8 years old, and the very first game I ever went to was
Yankees game?
old Yankee Stadium. And I'm talking about the early years of Derek Jeter.
Oh yeah.
All right. And I just remember, I don't remember anything about New York, not a single thing,
You just
but I
remember the game.
remember walking in and seeing just the historical monuments at old Yankee Stadium and thinking, this is the team that I want to root for.
Yeah.
I would go to, Rangers games when I were younger, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, I understand that.
There's a lot of stadiums like that in this world that where you walk into and you can feel
You can just feel it.
You can just feel like just in the environment itself, just the history like just coming on you. It's just
It's like the gods of baseball
Yeah.
are just like, you can just feel their energy and staring at you like, what's up? This is my place.
and then of course, I mean, you look down the field and you see Derek Jeter. That's enough. That's enough.
Hey,
That's enough. Well,
I feel like high school games can have that same impact. Like last year, I went to the Tournament of Champions all 3 days, and I went to the championship between Owasso. Well, no, actually, that was Owasso and Edmond North. But the best game I watched was Dell versus Owasso.
buzzer beater.
Buzzer beater.
yeah.
And whenever when I walked into that stadium, not stadium, whatever you want to call it, dome, whatever. I walked in, the atmosphere was just electric, and I'm like, dang, like this is a high school game. You know, you got people, the stands are packed for this game. Like you got college coaches lined up on the sideline, like they're all wearing their college gear. What's that kid's name? Jaden. I can't pronounce his last
Nickens.
name. No, not Jay Nick. Jaden Otto. I can't pronounce his
Ottowoski?
name. It's something whack like that. But he goes to Owasso, and he's not. Like I think he's like going in. He's either a junior. I think he's going into his junior year. But the kid is absolutely like a bucket. He's so tall, and he can do so much with his height. Like he can shoot well for a big. Like it was just such a fun game to watch. You know, Dell was up by 2 going into the 4th, and then he sit there and he hit a buzzer beater 3 to win the game. I actually got it on recording. I was sitting there, me, Jake, and Jaden were sitting there just absolutely losing our minds. It was such a good game, but
I got to call the 2019 state championship game for the Kingston Redskins, which let me tell you, Jacob Germany. I don't know if you guys ever had to watch him play, but 6'11", 6'10",
6'11".
and he got criticized a lot for being weaker at 6'10", but dude,
Yeah.
he came out and just dominated, absolutely dominated, and it was so fun to watch. But if you get a chance to go watch like the state championship basketball games, it's nothing like anything you'll ever go to in the state of Oklahoma. I mean, outside of Oklahoma, football or an OSU game or something like that, the crowds are just so. I mean, it's just so unreal. There's so much. We talk about that energy, the energy that you feel when you walk in. You walk into the building before a game, and you're just thinking, "Oh, this is
different.
This is different." Yeah.
I think it's a lot like I call it the winning environment. When you got so much success, so much on the line, I think. I mean, you can just feel the players like
It's
you.
intimidating.
Yeah, you can feel the players. I mean, it's the same way like NBA playoff games. I went to the Thunder and Mavericks game. Of course, the Mavericks beat the snot out of the Thunder that night. It was Game 5, and you could just
gang.
OKC after all those years of losing, they've won. They're in the Was it the semis?
Semis. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the semis, and you could just feel it. Full stadium, everybody on their feet, and just crazy atmosphere.
I agree.
You got anything you want to add?
I don't know.
Y'all got me here. Is there anything y'all want to ask me?
Yeah. I got a question.
Okay.
Here we go. What's been one of your favorite moments being the voice of the Wampus Cats that you can look back on and be like, I love it?
Oh,
Kind of a defining moment,
That's a
I
good
guess.
question. I like that question.
that is a good question because there's a lot of things that I enjoy. You know, the one thing I will say, and I can answer this a couple different ways, and so I will. I don't remember the last time that I sat in the stands at a football game.
Yeah.
You know, that's the cool part. You know, you kind of feel, I don't know, almost like royalty
Like
in
important?
a sense.
Like really
yeah,
important?
and importance. I mean, that's not the mindset that I go in with,
Yeah, I
but it's
understand
just I went to a football game a couple weeks ago and thought, this is what it's like. You know, I mean, I grew up watching games in the stands, so that was always pretty cool. But you know, being a Toka alum, I've seen up and downs through programs, football, basketball, you know, baseball, and to me, watching Coach Dale finally get his state championship ring was a big moment for me, not just for the school, but for me. Knowing what he went through, you know, when you know, Jeff passed away, to Sean passing away, his you know, whether he was going to coach or not anymore, and then coming back, you know, and then leaving Atoka and going to Tushka and then coming back. You know, there was a roller coaster, you know, with Coach Dell. And I think when we're younger, we don't really see that. You know, when I was in school, I didn't see that stuff that he was going through. You don't think about, you know, the adults having emotions like you do as when we're kids.
Yeah.
But it's there. And, you know, seeing it all come full circle. The guy's never worked harder in his entire life to be a mentor, to teach kids the right way, you know. And listen, I'm a Christian, you know, and I'll never back down and shy away from that.
Yeah.
There was not a better, you know, Christian to be around than Coach Dell. And so to see all the hard work pay off, and from hearing, you know, particular people say, oh, he'll never win it because he's too nice of a guy, you know, I never bought into that, because we were winners when I was playing ball. And I know those teams before me and the teams after me that he coached were winners. And, you know, even Tushka, you can credit a lot of success for what Tushka has been to Coach Dell, because they weren't very good, you know, in baseball before he got there, and now they're great. Obviously, they've had a great coach over the last couple of years, so I'm not saying anything about that. But
Him starting that foundation. Of
correct.
That program, yeah.
He's a program builder, and to see him finally win it was one of my happier moments in not just life, you know, but in this job. And so, you know, but what's funny is I remember there was one particular play, and it was the one that should have been a home run, and it was Nolan. He hit this big shot, seventh inning, off the wall, and I completely butched the call on the game. I had so much emotion, so much energy, and everything else. I let the emotion get the best of me, and I going back, and it's off the out of bounds wall. And Wayne Sewell just kind of looked at me like, "What the heck is a out of bounds wall?" You know, it's off the wall, left field wall. But yeah, that was a big moment for me.
Yeah.
Looking at that home run, I remember it like it's yesterday. I was in the stands. That thing was a moonshot.
The guy in the box next to me doing the scoreboard, he does all the games for like the Big 12 and everything else. And he goes, "That's a home run anywhere else. That's a home run. That's a home run in this field." And they just called it a ground rule double. So
It was amazing hit. And I think going off my experiences with Coach Dale, I played in middle school, and I've gotten to know him more in high school as just a regular person, you know, not as a coach. But he's one of them guys that he's always there for you, and he is a man of his faith. He will guide you in every way possible.
100.
And, I mean, just a servant to our community. Everything he does.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
I mean, I kind of, you know, I understand what you were saying about how you said, you know, we don't realize that coaches, you know, have emotions just like we do. You know what I mean? Oh, okay.
Wrap it up.
Okay.
Lace it up. Lace it up.
Lace it
Lace
up.
it up.
Lace it up.
Okay. I just feel like people, like especially athletes, don't realize like how much emotion, how much time, how much dedication coaches put into things, you know what I mean? And how like they're doing this for a living for a reason, you know, it's just something they love. So I feel like, you know, even if you would think your coach is a bad coach or whatever you think about him, you have to respect him because at the end of the day, he's putting his time and effort into you.
I tell my daughter this before we wrap up. I tell my daughter this every time. If a coach isn't yelling at you, it usually means that
That don't care.
he doesn't care anymore. All right, you've done something for him to not care. So if a coach is yelling at you, appreciate it because they see more in you than you see in yourself.
Sir. Well, this ends it for co-host Peyton Pugh here with LJ LaFavor and our special guest Michael Gabbert. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man.
Remember, senior night. Pop out.